Okay, so I'm going to go over the magazine spread demo in this video. We could go into the magazine spread demo files. We'll need to download those, so go ahead and download those from Brightspace. And then we can open up InDesign. I'll close out of this. Okay, so let's go to, well, let me first start by saying in this video we'll cover working with parent pages, adding in page numbers, text box columns, text box threading, placing images, working with layers, specifically adding in a background layer, an image layer, and a text layer. We're going to work with text wraps, type on a path, repeating and distributing and aligning objects in this particular video. Hopefully, I might have to make 2 of them. We'll see how quickly we can do this. So let's go to File, New, or New File button. Let's go to Print up here, and we can kind of open this up a little bit. We want to find the I believe it's the A4, 8.2677 by 11.6929. So we'll click on that. Want to make sure this facing pages is checked. Let's make this a 3-page document. As you can see, it's kind of a weird size, but there's a reason for that. It does print nicely on an 11 by 17 folded in half. That's why we're doing this. We do need a bleed on it, so we need to open that up and just click once on the top arrow. That should make top, bottom, inside, and outside bleeds. 0.125, which is 1/8 of an inch. Okay, well, we can go ahead, and once we add in that bleed, we can push create. Takes a little bit. So this is page 1. I'm going to move this down just a little bit. So we can see in our pages panel, we have 1, 2, 3 pages. I'm going to shrink that back up. But if I scroll down, you can see page 2 and 3. This is really the spread that we're going to be designing. It means that both the pages are next to each other. And this is where the magazine would fold down the middle, in theory, the black line. The design can run across both pages, but you do want to keep important text and images out of the gutter area, which is basically the fold area. You don't want important text or important areas of your image running over the fold too much. So that's called the gutter. That's a term that the industry uses for the fold line in a booklet or magazine layout. Make sure you're in the Essentials Classic workspace. If you aren't, just go ahead and click on that. I have my toolbar expanded. Might be easier to follow along if yours is as well. Okay, so let's go to the rectangle frame tool right here. And let's just make it as big as the whole document. Or not quite, actually. We're going to make it a little bit smaller. Doesn't have to be approximate, but, you know, doesn't have to be exact, I guess I should say. You know, we can also use the Properties panel to find the stroke size. In Essentials Classic, though, there is the option for the stroke up here, but you can also find it in the Properties panel. Let's make it about like 6 points or so, somewhere around there. So let's push Command L, which is a lock, which we just locked that element. You can also do Object Lock here. If we want to unlock, we can go to Unlock All on Spread under the Object menu. So let's create some columns in this document. Let's go to Layout at the top, Margins and Columns, and let's put in 5 columns. Number of columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5 columns on each page. So we have 10 total here because we have 2 pages right next to each other. Column gutter point 1875. We'll adjust that. That means the spaces between the columns. We just made that a little bit wider than the default. Change outside margins to 0.875, and the rest should be 3. Oh, let's see here. 4. Oh, we want to unlink those. 4.375 for everything else. So Command C, Command V, and V. So the outside column should be 0.875 and all of the others should be 4.4, sorry, I got this wrong. 0.4375. I just want to show you what's possible here. I had that in there wrong. I had it 4 point. Okay, so once yours is looking like this, let's go ahead and push OK. So that's about what we want it to look like. Let's create some horizontal guides, kind of so we can get that grid layout going. So go to Layout, Create Guides. Let's do a rows. In the rows, let's do 3. Let's see here. Rule of thirds, put 3. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to do the rule of thirds, which is, you know, a good thing for design. Gutter should be set to 0. Okay, now let's go ahead and push OK. That did give us some lines in here. I don't know if I did that quite right. We could go back in and see what happened there. Gutter set to 0. Columns, yeah, I did that wrong. We need to make sure the gutters are over here on the rows is set to 0. So that's why that looked weird. Now, okay, might have to do this again. I apologize. Layout, create guides. Let's do 3. Let's make this 0. Okay, and columns we're not putting any in, so. Okay, now you can see the guides are looking better now on each page. And that's the rule of thirds. It's going to split the page up nicely. Okay, so let's add in some content. Let's go to the rectangle frame tool. We're going to add in some images. The rectangle frame tool is good for this. Let's put a big one on the left. So just about right here. Let's go all the way out to that bleed line. If you don't see the bleed line, go ahead and push W on your keyboard and make sure you're going out to that red bleed line that goes around the edge of your document and about where I'm at. And you want your image to be about around, let's see, we want it to go over the gutter, which is the fold line, and we want it to go about to the edge of the first column, or maybe slightly past it. God dang it. Let me try again here. Something popped up and goofed me up there. There, something like that, okay? Is that? Yeah, okay. So that's where we want that one. And then a smaller one on the right of the spread. And it should grab that. Let's get on that second page. I'll scroll over, maybe, there we go. We want that to be, I don't know, fairly tall, fairly thin, and all the way to the bleed line or past it. I'm going to kind of keep it to the width of these 3 columns. If I push W on my keyboard, you can kind of see that I've gone past the bleed line. Okay, so I've got those 2 in there. And let's do a file place or Command D to place images in these boxes. So we do have to select them again and then do a Command D or file place. And let's go into our downloads, let's go into the demo files, and let's bring in the mountain image. Okay, and if we go into the properties panel right here, we can go to AutoFit on this. We can also try some of these other ones. They're not, some of them don't really work super well. Fill frame proportionally, fit content to frame. You can, you know, this is the frame fitting options. Auto fit's a good one to have checked. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to, but some of them will stretch your image, so you got to watch out for that. But I find that the fill frame proportionally on this one works pretty well. Let's go ahead and do another Command D on the second frame, and let's bring in the circle thingy from our file. Let's try, I think the fill frame proportionally on this one works pretty well. So we're just going to go with that on the second smaller image. Okay, so let's add in some text boxes or text frames. We're going to add the heading text box first, so we'll grab the T. That's going to go just under our mountain image, so we'll just kind of drag that out here. Maybe we want to line it up with our actual grids so I might grab the black arrow tool and move that over so it's lining up decently with the grids that I have, or the columns that are established on this piece of paper. So let's go over the precipice, let's click in there, over the precipice, okay. And then we want to make this larger, like a lot. So I'm pushing Shift Command with the, let's see here, greater than caret to make it larger. And I want it on a couple lines, probably just over the, and then precipice on its own line. We need to make this a little bigger maybe. And I'm just going to change this to white. You can do it there, you can do it over here, whichever you prefer. Let's see. And maybe we'll make it all uppercase, so we'll highlight everything. We'll go into the Properties panel under Character, and there is a all caps, right? So here's the character, there's 2 capital T's, that's all caps. I'm just going to leave it Minion Pro. Maybe something like this. This probably could be tightened up, the leading, so we could change the leading, which is the space between the lines, just to tighten that up a little bit, and then I'll center it through this space here. That's looking pretty good. Maybe move it over just slightly. Okay, so, and then now that we put that in there, let's put in the body copy text boxes, and we'll have to thread those together. One on each page, page 1 and then page 2. So we'll start with page 1. I'm going to move this up just a little bit so it's not in the way. Get back on my text tool and drag out my first text box about to here. So it's 5 columns wide. And then go to the black arrow tool. You can see the little box here. If you click on that, you can see the little extra icon that we get. And there is another thing here. I'm going to make it roughly the same height and width. Well, no, just the same height. It's going to line up, you know, top and bottom, hopefully, is the idea here. And these 2 are threaded, so that's good. Once again, you know, you'd click on these boxes here and then continue with the text tool, threading if you need to thread more. That's how you do it. Okay, so let's fill the body copy text boxes with text. We'll control click on that. Well, let's make sure we have it selected. Now do a control click and let's see here, what's it? Fill with placeholder text. So there we go. Filled with placeholder text. If you are in Essentials Classic, you can add columns up here. You can also go to Object, Text Frame, Options, wherever that is. Here. And in this area, you can change the number of columns. So, ooh. Oh wait, let's see here. I didn't have my preview checked, that's why. So this is the number of columns. It's going to affect everything on your spread. So if we make this 5 and 0.1875, that actually will match our document. And now it's only doing it to this one here, so we're going to have to do it to this one too. You can also do it up here, which I think, which I think is much easier, honestly. So we just want 2 columns, and we want the gutter between to be 0.1875, just so it matches. Okay, well that's looking pretty good. I will have to continue with the rest of this in the next video.